everyone! Welcome back to Hector Makalalag Leadership Channel. I hope that you are doing fine as you open this video. So, last time I have featured John Maxwell's Gift of Leadership, and I'm sure you have learned a lot from that book. As we know, John Maxwell has many books. In fact, he sold more than 19 million copies of his books worldwide. More than, no? Take note, more than. And he has trained more than 5,000 leaders across the globe. For this time, I will feature one of his books. It is actually a mini book. This is all about think on these things, meditation for leaders. So the best-selling author, John Maxwell, shared his meditation to challenge us as the leaders to reach our full potentials as servants of God. In this edition of his very first book, we learn that ability to achieve anything great for God begins in our hearts and in our minds. We are ready to embark your journey through this book. So I'm sure that you will enjoy having the sort of review of this book. So come and join me as we will now review and we will have another book of John Maxwell, the multi-talented author of all time. Think of These Things by John C. Maxwell. For the first chapter, I would like to share to you about your reactions shows your Christianity. Whenever you are tempted to react in an unchristian manner, we should do and reflect the following. The first one is, realize that everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Number 2, reacting in a positive, reassuring manner will always produce better results. Number 3, there's no better way to witness for Christ than by your Christian reaction. So it is very important to react in a positive and reassuring manner. For the second chapter, he talked about some of the reasons why it's necessary at times to stand still instead of rushing around. The first reason why we should stand still is there's a constant need to reevaluate our priorities. In Romans chapter 12 verse 2, don't let the world around you squeeze you into its own mold. So ibig sabihin, huwag magpadala sa ways of the world. The second one is, only by waiting on God can we be spiritually energized. In Isaiah chapter 40 verses 29 to 31, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Every youth grows tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who has hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and will walk and not be faint. The third reason is, it's necessary to review the past. Take note of this. History is a great teacher. Experience is a hard teacher. Only by taking time to reflect on yesterday and honestly reevaluate your success and failure can you learn and prepare for tomorrow. The fourth reason is, problems will begin to resolve merely when exposed to the light of time. If possible, it's always best to give tough situations extra time for creative thinking and effective actions. I agree to this because I'm on this like of scenario many times. So, kung you are in a tough situation, it is very best not to hurriedly make an instant decision, but think of it many times and solve that creatively and effectively. The fifth one is taking time out increases our capacity for gratitude. A thankful heart is one that has had time to count his or her blessings. The lepers who was cleansed by Jesus was too busy rejoicing to remember to thank Jesus. Only as we stop in meditation will our hearts be filled with praise for our friends, our past blessings, and our God. The sixth one is a day's worth of visitation sometimes is sufficient time to allow the situations around us to change. Many problems will take care of themselves if given the opportunity. So, sufficient time will always give better opportunities and solutions. The seventh one is standing still is a great tool used to prepare an individual for the pressures and battles of life. So time for reflection will give you right preparation. And the last one is, finally, relaxation and rest are necessary so that we might feel, think, and act right. Our spiritual, physical, and emotional condition will greatly determine how we react to situations. So there is a need to take our time, just relax and rest, for these are necessary ingredients for us to think rightfully. On the next chapter, he discussed about what kind of fruit is on your tree. In John chapter 15, Jesus gives the formula for successful fruit bearing. The first one is, a person must be connected to the right source. The right source means our Almighty Father. Jesus says, remain in me and I will remain in you. So we must endure our faith to Him. The second one is, a person must be pruned and disciplined to be fruitful. Jesus said in John chapter 15 verse 2, He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes it so that it will be even more fruitful. Fruit bearing is God's highest desire for your life. So we must be, so that we will be useful in our respective fields. A person, the third one, a person must realize that God's purpose for His children is fruitfulness. This is to my Father's glory, that you may bear fruits, showing yourselves to be my disciples. The fourth one is the next chapter, the fourth chapter, is about pointers on potential. Very often, people fail to get involved in working and helping others, not because they lack the ability or willingness to do so, but because they lack the confidence and assurance that they can do the job. So, hindi ibig sabihin hindi sila nag-participate because they did not know the job. It is because they lack confidence and assurance that they can do the job. So, kailangan lang ng push. As we travel along the road of life, many negative seeds are planted in our minds until we often stop short of what we can do for God, for others, and for ourselves. So, we are always sometimes negativity rules in our minds. So, it is not good. For the chapter 5, sabi ni John C. Maxwell, you can be better than the average. And how do we do it? How do we become better than the average? The following principles will help us. To rise above the common plane of living, you need a little more determination than the average person. The key word there is more determination. The second one is, to rise above the common plane of living, you need a little more faith than the average person. The key word is little more faith. The third one is, to rise above the common plane of living, you need a little more than the average person. So you need little more than the average persons. The next concept that he discussed is about mistakes. So there are misconceptions or three mistakes that too often made. The first one is believing that mistakes are always to be avoided. The reason people try to avoid mistakes is that they feel they are a sign of failure or weaknesses. But mistakes can become a learning experience. We learn from our mistakes. It probably can be said that a person cannot learn without making them. So mistake is not a sign of failure after all. The second one is thinking that success comes naturally to those who are the most intelligent person. History has proven that people are successful not because of their brilliance, but because of their persistence and desire. So it is not always that the most intelligent will become successful. The third one is refusing to change when there's a need to change. So that's one of the signs that that is not good. So you should not refuse to change. The sixth chapter is all about falling. Sabi niya, fall down 9 times, get up on 10. So there will always be times when you fall. Anyone who walks down the path of life not only has the privilege of enjoying it, but must also take the risk of falling. So falling is always part of our journey. The more attempt to do, the more likelihood that we'll fall. So this is one of the principle. The difference between success and failure is how we react after the fall. So if we react positively, then we can go on and move on. If we react negatively, then we will be stressful. On the next chapter, he talked about the 3-step procedure that will enable you to become more the person of God desires you to be. The first one is discover your potential. One of the greatest days of your life will be the day when you discover your potential. Wow. The second one is dedicate your potential to God. Give to God all you have, because God is the source of everything. And the last one is you must develop your potential. And here are the ways to develop your potential in its fullest capacity. The first one is develop a positive self-image. The second is realize that you are responsible for developing your potential. Do not depend on others. The third one is realize that God is more interested in having you develop your potential than He is concerned about the mistakes you made. The next one is get acquainted with others who are successful in developing their abilities, because you can always benchmark to others. We can always look up to others who are very successful in their own field of endeavors. Do not go on or do not go to persons who are not successful in developing their potential. Friends, these are the things that we must remember according to John C. Maxwell if we are a leader. That's it, folks. For this time, I hope that you learn a lot from this book, Think on These Things, Meditation for Leaders by John C. Maxwell. I'm hoping that you are learning and you are joining with me as we discover more leadership books of this leadership channel. Thank you very much to all my subscribers and to all my viewers. I hope that you will continually support my leadership channel, the Hector Macalalat Leadership Channel. Maraming salamat. Salamat po sa inyo lahat.